Did you know that the first world chess champion William Steinitz and his successor Emanuel Lasker played Queen's Gambit so much and so well that their rivals started experimenting with different openings? They really hated playing against this bishop g5 line. One of these new openings was Slav defense. Hello everyone, welcome. Today I want to show you a short game in which I want to explain a problem and a concept of chess awareness in the games that is, I think, really lacking at below 2000 levels, especially at lower levels, and even here at 1800s. Me and my opponent played such hard moves that I was kind of embarrassed with this game, but I still decided to make a video about it, maybe to motivate me to stop making these kinds of blunders. Let's go straight to the game and I'll show you what I mean. The game started with d4, d5, c4 and c6. This is Slav defense. I hope you paid some attention to the intro because in the intro I showed you that bishop g5 was played in Queen's Gambit decline. That is when e6 played and not c6, in which white pinned this knight to the queen and it enjoyed long-lasting pressure and good game. Now, in this game, I went with knight to c3, the opponent goes knight f6, and as I played just the game before this one, I was enthusiastic and I won that game. I continued the same without thinking, blitzing out bishop to g5, and then the opponent blitzes out his bishop to... let me show you what's the problem with this position and this kind of playing. It might seem perfectly normal and nothing wrong with it, but this is actually a huge issue that's holding us back. First thing I should have done, and that was already in this starting position, I should have noted to myself that I'm actually almost out of the opening book. I looked at Slav defense a long time ago and I basically forgot all the lines. The thing that I actually still remembered at the time when I played this game was that Black wants to play bishop to f5 to develop his bishop out of the pawn chain, so he wants also to play e6, he'll develop his knight, this bishop goes somewhere and he castles. Also, I know one important thing that which is one that if he goes too early with his bishop, I can attack this b7 pawn. But that's about it. I actually forgot pretty much everything about white's plans. For example, I know I want to develop my knight and probably the other knight, but I have no idea where the bishop goes. Either one, or simply I would play this by feeling and by common sense. And that is in general fine. But every now and then, because of that very shallow knowledge, things happen like this, where I decided that I don't want to play e3 to close my bishop. So I decided to go first with bishop g5, and here we come to first blunder. This move blunders the pawn simply because there is a tension between these two pawns and black can capture, after which he can defend the pawn, and white already lost all his opening advantage. I would diagnose this as not only the problem of lack of knowledge, but also the problem of self-awareness and the problem of having no context to this opening. So, how do we stop making blunders like these? The first thing is, I think that we make a hard mental note to ourselves when we are actually out of the opening book, and that we really mean it. At this point, I don't know what's white's plan, and I start to think. And then it would take me like a millisecond to realize that if I play this, I consider actually what black's response is, and it's... The other one is that it's really useful to have some context or background knowledge, like that intro, that would stop me from playing bishop to g5. Or, for example, having the knowledge of master games in which I would know that typical plan in such positions. And there is a third thing that one should be aware here, and that is knowledge versus skill. For example, I had, although vague knowledge that this move is too early, I really don't have any practice on, or let's say I have limited practice on how to punish it. And basically I made a mistake here by first taking, when obviously queen to b3 is the best move. And here we come to the thing that playing is as much or as important as knowing things. So if you are the one who plays a lot and don't learn from YouTube videos or books, maybe you should try to learn a bit more. And I generally tended to learn more and play less, and I should be the one playing more so I wouldn't make mistakes like these but play precise moves. I think with having this knowledge here that I showed you today, that actually that won't be enough. The thing you need to realize, and myself also, is that we need to practice these things. So just knowing that you need to register that you are out of the opening book here is not enough unless you actually register it in your own game. And last tip here for the moment is that I think, at least I found it that way, that the best way to practice is to practice one thing at a time. And if you go and play some blitz games, then maybe just focus on realizing when you are out of the opening book and start thinking from that point on until you get familiar with it. Then on the next practice batch, you maybe start practicing playing moves and placing pieces only after actually you think about the response. For example, here I play bishop g5 and then started thinking about possible response. Here, this position is also very interesting, and I want to show you another concept. This one is also about self-awareness and defending, or let's say finding the best moves. I have just played queen to b3, attacking these pawns, and black now feels obliged to defend. This pawn is actually double defended currently. I'll turn it off, and this one is undefended. There is also a threat. If I take this knight, then the defender is removed, so this pawn falls, and for that reason the black player decides to play knight to b to d7, defending the knight. Now if I take, he'll defend the pawn again, and he obviously gave up b7 pawn, which shouldn't be taken, because if I take the b7 pawn, he can chase away my queen, and then I lose this pawn, and now it's maybe my king that's in trouble, because this rooks get very active. But there is much better move here, and it also relates to the problem that I'm trying to fix in my games. You can maybe take a second if you want here and find the best move for black. You can even use these ideas, but it takes engine some time to find the best answer, and chess.com is saving on power, so it stops calculating very early. So here it goes. The best move for black here is actually to play knight to c6. Now it looks weird a bit, but because I could take the pawn, but you'll notice that he can recapture this one. And that's the position that I wanted to show you, because this is the thing I keep missing. Note here that my queen is defending this pawn, and when I moved away my queen, the pawn was left undefended. And that's basically, call it space left behind, or undefending the own pawn. And here, if black had recognized that, he would maybe found this move. And this is the theme that happens, again, just a bit more later. Let me show you. So after knight b to d7, I decided to capture the pawn which I can, and that's this one. And this is actually a mistake because I completely missed this backwards move. That's now nice pin. Luckily for me, there is a way out, and here I first picked up the knight, and yeah, I got totally surprised by this check. Now we get to this team again. Why was I totally surprised by the check? Basically, the reason is that when I played this knight to take the pawn, I simply didn't recognize that I'm opening this diagonal. And in all these variations now I have to look for this check. Here, for example, it doesn't work because I can just go back. Anyway, let's go back. So he checks me. Luckily, I still have the defense, so I'm surprised the second time, and God knows how many times he was surprised in this opening because he played worse than me. Here, he can capture my queen, he can capture my knight, he can triple capture my bishop, and somewhere in all of these capture logics, he also has to take note that if he, I don't know, do something like capture this one, he has to be aware that I could check him this way. And this is fork. After, let's see how much time. After 18 seconds, he decided to take my knight, and I was surprised by this choice, and I like shake my head, took a second look, and picked up his queen. And basically that's game over. I'll show you the end of the game, maybe just for completeness. So here, after knight to b6 defending this bishop, I retreated my bishop. He chased it away, so I retreated again. He plays d6, now I develop, and now this prepares this check. Actually, the best move here is e4, which I wanted to play, but I didn't trust my intuition. I went for the safe move. But he decides to play knight c4, attacking my queen. Maybe he hoped I forget the queen. And here I spotted a nice tactic. So if I take the knight and he takes back, I have this check and win the bishop. So he goes for the rook. I also saw this. This one did not surprise me. And here I have a check, and it's checkmate somewhere in close, right? And then I also noticed I can take this pawn, so I went that way. He picks up the rook, so that's checkmate threat here. He blocks it, so I distract the defender, and it's basically over. Here's and here. I hope you found this game interesting and that you learn a bit from it. Just remember that it's not all about knowledge, there is much to practice as well. Thank you for watching, and I hope I'll see you in the next video.